Imagine a being who protects the dead, but at the same time inspires fear, a figure who is both a divine guardian and a dark enigma. Who is Anubis, the Egyptian god of the dead? In this video, we will explore a story where divinity and mystery intertwine, revealing why Anubis is seen sometimes as a benevolent god and sometimes as a frightening monster. Get ready to discover what really lies behind the image of this canine god who watches over the passage between life and death. Anubis is one of the most fascinating and complex figures in Egyptian mythology, known as the god of the dead and guardian of the necropolises. But what makes this god so intriguing is the duality he represents. While he protects souls and guides the dead on their passage to the afterlife, his appearance, with the head of a jackal or wild dog, provokes fear and mystery. This ambiguity raises a fundamental question. Is Anubis a benevolent protector or a fearsome monster? Throughout the history of ancient Egypt, he played a crucial role in funeral rituals, overseeing mummification and the judgment of souls, elements that reveal a lot about how the Egyptians viewed death and the afterlife. In this video, we will delve into the origin, symbolism, and evolution of this god, exploring not only his religious importance, but also the cultural impact and interpretations that have shaped his image over the centuries. To understand Anubis is to understand an essential part of the Egyptian worldview and how humanity has always sought answers to the mystery of death. But what really hides behind the jackal head of Anubis? Was he just a protector of the dead, or was he involved in dark secrets that defy our understanding? Some scholars point to a disturbing paradox. Despite his sacred function, Anubis can also be seen as a symbol of terrifying power, linked to rituals that border on the occult and the boundary between life and death. There is even an intriguing theory that suggests that his image was used to impose fear and social control, creating an almost monstrous aura around death. Is Anubis really a benevolent god or a monster disguised in the shadows of Egyptian mythology? Get ready, because this is a story full of mysteries that challenge certainties and invite you to question everything you know about the afterlife. To understand this duality of Anubis, we must return to the origins of the god and his role within the complex Egyptian cosmology. Unlike other deities that symbolize life or power, Anubis is closely linked to the transition between the world of the living and the realm of the dead. His canine image, which may seem frightening at first glance, has roots in animals that in ancient Egypt were associated with protecting cemeteries from looters and wild animals. But Anubis was not just a physical guardian. He was responsible for overseeing the sacred process of mummification, ensuring that the body was preserved so that the soul could continue its journey. In addition, he participated in the judgment of the dead, where the heart of the deceased was weighed against the feather of truth, a decisive moment that would define the eternal destiny of the soul. This role places Anubis at the center of a fascinating dilemma. He is a god who facilitates the passage to the afterlife, but also a harsh judge who can condemn. Is this ambiguity what fuels his image as a divine protector or a dark monster? The answer begins to reveal itself when we look at the stories, symbols, and rituals surrounding his figure. Anubis was not just an isolated character in Egyptian mythology. His figure is intertwined with other deities and myths that further reveal his complexity. For example, he is often associated with Osiris, the god of resurrection and the afterlife, with whom he shares dominion over the world of the dead. While Osiris represents eternal life and fertility, Anubis acts as the caretaker of souls in that delicate moment between death and rebirth. But this relationship has not come without changes over time. Initially, Anubis was the chief god of the dead, before Osiris assumed that role, which demonstrates a significant evolution in the Egyptian pantheon and in the meaning attributed to each deity. In addition, the rituals related to Anubis carried deep symbolism. Mummification, supervised by him, was not only a physical process, but a true spiritual alchemy. The preservation of the body ensured that the Kai, or life spirit, could recognize its vessel and continue to exist in the afterlife. Interestingly, Anubis's animal form, the jackal or wild dog, also has a more mysterious side. These animals were seen as guardians of cemeteries, capable of warding off evil spirits, but also as creatures that roamed the boundaries between the known and the unknown. This ambiguity reinforces the idea that Anubis walks the fine line between protection and threat. What if this duality was an ancient way of dealing with the fear of death? While Anubis comforts by ensuring safe passage, his dark image may have been used to instill respect and even fear in the face of the unknown. Some scholars suggest that the figure of the dog god also emerged as a symbol of social control, reminding people of the importance of funeral rituals and the spiritual consequences of their actions in life. Thus, Anubis is not just a distant guardian, but an active presence in the religious and moral daily life of the Egyptians. Finally, it is worth noting that even today, Anubis continues to fascinate and inspire. His image appears in movies, games, and even contemporary art, always carrying that ambiguous aura that mixes protection and mystery. After all, is he really a monster to be feared, or a benevolent god who helps us face what we will all inevitably encounter? This question remains open, inviting each of us to reflect on what it means to die and what may lie beyond that frontier. So far, we have seen how Anubis moves between the divine and the frightening, being both protector of souls and relentless judge in the court of the afterlife. But does this ambiguity hide something even deeper? Why did the ancient Egyptians create a figure who, despite being divine, carries traits that we would today associate with the unknown or even fear? As we prepare to reveal what really motivates this duality, it is worth asking, how did Anubis influence not only funeral rituals, but also our view of death and spiritual justice? Furthermore, is he simply a god of the dead, or a metaphor for something greater, a representation of the inevitable transition we all face? In the next few moments, we will unravel the layers of this mystery, exploring little-known accounts and interpretations that may completely change our perception of Anubis. Get ready, because the story you think you know is about to take on a new dimension. We have arrived at the heart of the matter. Anubis. This figure who oscillates between the sacred and the fearsome is not simply a god to be feared or worshipped, but a symbol of human complexity in the face of death. His image as a jackal, an animal that roams the borders between the world of the living and the dead, reflects exactly this duality. He is the guardian who protects, but also the judge who imposes justice. More than that, Anubis shows us that death, far from being a terrifying end, is a passage that demands respect, care, and balance. The ambiguity surrounding his figure invites us to think, perhaps he is not a monster, but a personification of the very mystery of existence, where fear and hope coexist. By supervising mummification and weighing the hearts of the dead, Anubis reveals that life does not end with physical death, but continues in a way that depends on each person's choices and inner truth. Thus, he remains a fascinating and necessary presence, a god who challenges our certainties and reminds us that the unknown can be both a place of protection and judgment. In the end, the true story of Anubis is an invitation to face what we fear and recognize that between the divine and the monstrous, there is room for transformation and hope. And so, we conclude our journey through the incredible story of Anubis, the god who travels between life and the afterlife, challenging our ideas about protection, judgment, and mystery. I hope this dive into ancient Egypt has piqued your curiosity and made you reflect on how ancient symbols still touch us today. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to like and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next fascinating stories we have in store for you. And to continue exploring mythologies and mysteries, check out the videos appearing here on the screen. I'm sure you'll be surprised. Thank you very much for being with us so far, and see you next time.